Welcome to Shabbat Lounge. Glad you're here with me today. Today, I am recording this on the Sabbath. It's a beautiful day today. We've had some crazy weather down in the south. We had 6 inches of snow down at Corpus. We had snow in Big Bend, Texas, in that area. Up here in North Texas, we just had some cold days, but now we got pretty decent weather, sunshine, and going to be in the 50s, and just a great time to be outside and just sit in your house and enjoy the view. So, but glad you're here. And so, what's been going on this week? Well, we continue to be in this Christmas season, and I am blessed with a wife and a daughter who have decorated our house for Hanukkah and put up some things inside the house and put up a menorah and put up some signs that say Hanukkah, and that's the time of the season that we're going to enter in. And I just ask that you continue to join me in prayer. We continue to pray that our country, that more and more people will wake up and wake up to the deception that's out there. I believe that pretty much anything mankind has said is a lie and is suspect and should be questioned, from our leaders to the things we see, especially in D.C., Hollywood, the financial system. It's all a lie. And it is all bad news, and it's not the Father's economy. And I want you to study that. Spend time studying what is the Father's economy. What was valuable to Him, and how did people have, what occupations did they have, how did people make a living, and just study His financial system and study His laws that He set apart, that our bankruptcy laws maybe kind of are loosely based upon, but we have gotten so far away from the things and the way that He told us to run an economy, to run a system, and just pray that our country would continue to have their eyes opened. And years ago, we were part of a fellowship, and I have this long history of being everything from a deacon and a youth minister to being heavily involved in all aspects of church leadership, planning. Helped do a church plant, and done everything from sweeping the floors, stacking, unstacking chairs, setting up the projector, all kinds of multimedia, running sound systems, playing guitar in a band, although I'm not that amazing, but I participated in that. So I've done a lot of different things with this church and the church movement for a long time of my life, about 30 plus years I've been involved in church at some level. Years ago, we had a man come into our fellowship, and he brought a prayer team in with us, and he walked around with his team, and they laid hands on people and prayed. And it was very moving and very powerful to me, and made a real impression on me that day. And one of the things that he said in this meeting is he felt like the Father was calling him into a movement of a house church movement. And although the house church movement he was being called into was much different than this Torah fellowship that we're doing. So that's kind of beside the point. But he had this piece of truth, and the piece of truth that I believe he said is he felt like the Father had given him a prophecy. And this prophecy was that the current church buildings cannot contain the people that are going to flood into the churches. That one day there's going to be such great persecution, so many questions are going to come on the people that call themselves believers today, and the churches will not be able to contain them. There just won't be enough room. There's not enough pews in the seats because people are going to flock and want to know what to do. And I believe he's right about that, and I believe there's a remnant of us following this Torah. And I believe that the Father is preparing us and raising us up for just a time as this. We are coming into a period in which I believe we're going to be the only ones, just like in Noah's day, which the Bible talks about too. Yeshua mentioned that so will it be the days of Noah, so will it be in the days of the Son of Man. I'm sure I didn't say that quite right, but he does talk about the days of Noah are going to be seen again. And we're headed into that time, and we are going to be like Noah. You see, if we learn anything from the Scriptures, from the Torah, we learn that it's cyclical, and these things come again. And we're in that cycle where he's calling us to be the Noah of our day, and calling us to do things that are very strange to the people around us. They don't understand what we're doing. And but we may be building the vehicles to save people. And I don't know how many. I hope that my friend's prophecy is true and that it's just a lot of people. But it may not be either. It may just be people in our immediate circle, close friends and family. And just ask that you prepare yourself with Scripture, spending your time wisely. It is so easy to get sucked into the media culture, so easy to get sucked into watching movies. In fact, I watched this movie last night, and I'm not going to mention the movie's name because I don't want to give it any power or glory. But I watched this movie, and it was hailed as a comedy, and it was so terrible. I absolutely could not find any redeeming value in the movie at all, other than a form of trauma-based mind control. I think that was the theme I saw this week. I had some trauma-based mind control kind of things, happen. People told me some stories that were just so traumatic. I'm like, why on earth? And first off, I have to go, this is a terrible thing that happened to you that you witnessed. How is it helping anybody for you to continue to go around and scar the rest of us by telling us this terrible, awful, deplorable thing that has happened? And that's basically what Hollywood does. It spends its entire living and way of life of going around and telling you these mostly just absolutely terrible stories that violate Torah, that violate U.S. law, that violate all morals, that everyone around the world that calls themselves a human would agree upon. Hey, that's wrong. And lift them up many times to be this great thing. And all it is doing, and so I watched some Lex Meyer this week, and Lex Meyer was on Now You See TV, and Lex was talking about, and I heard Lex down in Beaumont talk about this too, about how careful we have to be to feed our minds. In fact, he led us in the song, Be Careful Little Eyes What You See. For the Father up above is looking down in love, so be careful little eyes what you see. Well, that song is so true. We have to be careful to guard our heart, guard our eyes. Don't immerse yourself in this media culture. Learn to find things that feed your mind, especially like the guys over at Now You See TV. They produce so many good things that are going to feed you. In fact, YouTube is full of people that will feed you good information and not the lies and not the garbage. And also, stop watching TV news. But just for fun, one time watch it, 10 o'clock news or 6 o'clock news. Flip through all the channels. Notice how almost every news network does the same story at the same time. Now, how they choose to report it, and if they have a reporter there live, or if they have a pre-recorded report, they often tell the same exact stories, even on your local news channel. And so, all of that is a lie, and you can't believe anything they say, unfortunately. Yes, sometimes they do some good, powerful humanitarian stories and tell some great stories of some amazing people, but mostly it is death, 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 destruction, destruction. Story after story of that. Don't fill your mind with that. Don't fill your mind with the cable news TV. I know a lot of people like to watch Fox News, but man, it's such garbage. It's the same thing. They just say the same stuff over and over and over, and they just cram it down your throat. And it just corrupts your mind because it's just man. And man, look at our track record. It's not very good. We have been constantly deceiving people. In fact, it's easy to go back in time. You don't have to go back very far to see how, especially like in the Middle Ages, you had people, especially like Catholic Church and other positions of power, that they had the secret knowledge, and they wouldn't allow the people to read, to access that secret knowledge. And they kept it to themselves, kind of thing, and abused a lot of power. And so we see that over and over and over. So just like the Torah is cyclical, our world history is cyclical. And there's always been an element of power that the Bible tells us are controlled by the principalities that rule the air, which I believe firmly are connected to the enemy, the real enemy. And so these puppets, they just kind of do what these spiritual principalities tell them what to do. And our political system and Hollywood and all of those things here in the States are ruled by, unfortunately, the prince of darkness, the power of the air. And it has so filled all our minds. Just look at how the media has changed how we talk. I believe that 60 years ago, people spoke differently. And men were more polite around women. There were certain things that they did not say and discuss because a woman was present out of respect for her, out of respect for who she, and what she represents, and motherhood and all that is good, and the way the Father intended things to be, that we spoke differently. And today, so many people, they just reflect the garbage that we've accepted on the TV and on the movies, and we just accept all of these words and these terms and just go, that's just how people talk. Really? Does it have to be that way? I don't think it has to be that way. And then we're shocked with all the people like Matt Lauer and other people that have done these terrible things, but in a way, they're cramming that down our throats to try to say, this happens everywhere. That's just the way we are. That's just part of being a human. And I go, no, it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. Parents, be careful to teach your children what's reality and what is just complete fiction. We must model to them. We must teach them. We can't rely on the school system. We can't rely on Bible class teachers or any particular church to teach our children. We are their teachers. We are first and foremost teachers. grandparents, if you have grandchildren that have parents that are lost or parents that, just aren't interested in spiritual things, you got to do your part. Every time you're around them, talk about the Father when you get up, when you lie down, when you walk along the road. Do what it says in Deuteronomy 28. Make that your mission, because you may be the only piece of truth that they get. Parents, also guard your child and their time spent in video games. I believe video games, unfortunately, are like a gateway drug, and they're a gateway drug to virtual reality. We're headed into a time when people are not going to be able to tell what's real and what isn't. Right now, that may have already happened. So many people can't tell they don't know that social media is fake. They don't know, and they haven't caught on, that people mostly post their best pictures that show them in the best light and show them to be happy and having a great time and all these fun people and fun places. They're only seeing the best and only a side that person wants them to see. It's all fake. It's just like these other things. And especially to our young girls, we have to be so careful to guard our young girls from getting trapped into thinking that this is what you have to look like to be happy. Such a trap. It's a trap for young boys too. But we have to guard them and protect them from those things. And I don't recommend social media for your children. Now, maybe when they're, upper end of high school, junior, senior year, I don't even know about that. I just don't think their brain is ready. It's not fully developed, and they can't understand. They can't separate what's true and what's fake. Parents, we must guard our children. There is nobody else out there that's going to advocate, protect them. The school system certainly isn't going to do it. You have to advocate for them, and you have to be their first teacher, and you have to teach them. You can't let other people do it. Can't rely on them. I don't believe that's in the Bible, nor is it biblical. It is our job as parents to teach them the ways of the Father. So all that, let me go back to that prophecy. I believe that the Father all across our country is raising up people to be Torah keepers. And that's what we do here. We observe the Sabbath, and every Sabbath we gather around with some friends, 3 different families, that share the same belief and share the same value, that we honor the Sabbath, that we read Torah, and that the Torah, the Bible, that is the only piece of truth we have in this world. Everything else is a lie. And everybody's, a majority of the world, and in fact, Yeshua says, broad is the path. And believe me, that path is wide. Many people are going to be deceived, but anyway, we meet, we keep the feast, and at Sukkot we met outside every evening, and just had a great time, and fellowshipped, and had food. We camped out one night, and we do kind of our version of keeping that feast, but we don't keep all this perfectly. There's still a lot of it that we may have wrong, but I know that when the Father looks down at us, He goes, oh wow, my kids are keeping my appointed times. Awesome. I like this. That's what He wants. Think about your own children. We want them to try to do the things that we ask them to do. They're not going to be perfect in it, but we want to see them to try to do it. And so when the Father looks down on us, attempting to observe the Sabbath, attempting to do these feasts, he goes, hey, man, those are my kids. Awesome. Happy with them. We know that he will bless us for it. And so I challenge you this week to be in prayer about that, about is the Father preparing your heart? Is he working on your heart, preparing the ground so that one day you can tell other people about who he is? Because when you start walking in Torah, you start keeping the feast, you have a different understanding of the Father. In fact, it's like, it's just what people always say. The more you understand the Bible, the more you go, wow, I know nothing. And I think that's the conclusion you have to, if you're honest, you have to conclude, wow, there is so much I don't know. And but you don't stop. That thirst for knowledge, that thirst for trying to understand how to live your life more according to the code. And the code would be the Torah, following the Torah. I just challenge you, if you're on the verge, if you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting, I will tell you, it's one of the most difficult things that you can pick up and do. Because at first, everyone's like, oh, you're becoming Jewish. Are you Seventh-day Adventist? Are you part of a cult? Just all kinds of weird conversations can happen. And people they have such a hard time wrapping their mind around what we try to do, and just if you're interested, know that there is no one person like in charge of this. So no, it can't be a cult. If you look up the definition of what it means for that, it's just absurd. But the Father is preparing a remnant of people that are going to be the priest. And so from the beginning, go back and look at Adam. When the Father made Adam and Eve were supposed to be the priest. Now, this can be controversial, but they were supposed to be the priest to go tell the other men and women that were outside the garden about who he was. Adam knew the Torah. Adam walked and talked, and he knew the Torah was written on the tablet of his heart. And that is what, that was the prophecy, and it will be fulfilled. That is what's going to happen one day. And so he did it with Adam, and he wanted Adam to be his royal priest. Well, we know how that worked out. And then along came Moses and the people. Same thing. He wanted Moses to be his high priest. And not only Moses, but the entire nation that was with Moses. He wanted them all to come up and have this conversation and give this knowledge. And they're like, no way, man. Moses, you just go up there and you talk to that guy. He's kind of scary, and the mountain shakes, and there's violence and earthquakes and lightning, and it's like really scary, man. And so he had to change it. And so over and over and over, we seem to be pretty slow at learning this. But he wanted us from the very beginning to be his royal priesthood. And that's what I challenge you to do, is to learn what is your role in this priesthood. What is your role? And who are you ministering to? Who are you supposed to say things to? And I pray the same thing for me, that I can figure out who I'm supposed to talk to and what am I supposed to say. And I pray that this week for me and for you, that every day we can wake up trying to fulfill our Father's purpose, and not trying to fulfill our own agenda, not trying to fulfill our own bank account or our own legacy, or build our own name, but to build in the kingdom. So this week, prepare yourself. Be a holy nation. Be prepared to follow that narrow path. Be a holy, called out people, set apart. Be different. Don't be like everyone else. Prepare your mind for a time when people seek you out for the answers. When they see that so much of the things that they read and learned about and saw on TV from their pastors, their preachers on TV, or the real fellowships they were part of, weren't right about rapture and some of these other things. They're going to have questions. Some people, unfortunately, will just fall away. Other people will run after you for truth. And so be ready for an answer. And I pray continually that that we close legal openings. Close any legal opening that we have given the enemy to operate in our life, into our family. And we repent of those things. We want to make teshuvah of those things and close those openings so the enemy cannot operate in our lives. We just want to be sealed and covered with the blood of the Lamb, the blood of Yeshua. And we pray that our country will continue to have its eyes opened. More and more people will come to saving knowledge of what the Father is about and understand, and help us to prepare our children and a generation of children that when the world looks at an Antichrist and says, look, man, he's healed the sick, he's raised the dead, he has fixed global hunger, he has put an end to all poverty, he has given everybody a job, he has united the world. The world is at peace. World religions are at peace. Danger, danger, danger. This is bad. And when that happens, you have to be willing to be, in fact, I will almost bet you're going to be the only person at your work a lot of times that knows this is all bad. And people are going to think you are completely mad and have completely lost your marbles. You've got to prepare for that, because we are coming into an age, and if us parents don't see it, our children are going to see it, and we have to prepare our children to be holy, set-apart people, which is hard for them to do when they are in the school system sometimes. It kind of helps brainwash us, and we have to be very careful, very cautious to not allow that to happen. We don't want to be deceived. Don't want to be deceived. Anyway, this is where I'll end it this week, and just challenge you to continue to live your lives as holy and set-apart people. Thank you for listening to Shabbat Lounge.